so weird. It's not what I'm used to.
I know, right? It's a brand new world.
Yeah. And I think they changed it since I've experimented with it too. It's perfect. Okay, awesome. We're officially live. We did it. All right. Awesome. It's like so different than what I'm used to because I'm used to like it being on my Facebook page, but hopefully this works and hopefully people start to show up. So thank you for joining me tonight. So I just want to start off with introducing myself, and then I'll let you introduce yourself and talk a little bit about what we're doing together and all the beautiful things that are coming and we're creating. So I'm Natasha Nirvana. I'm a Reiki master teacher and spiritual business coach, and I'm the facilitator of the Empowered Intuitive Sisterhood. And I have been hosting these women's circles on every full moon, and I used to do them on the new moons as well. And through that, this group, the Empowered Intuitive Sisterhood, evolved, and we're this group to empower women in finding their freedom and finding their authentic selves and their true voice. And that's something we focus a lot in these moon circles. And when you came to me with the idea for this event, I was like, how perfect we can now like really highlight other women who are really thriving in their gifts and share that as well. So that's something that I'm really looking forward to doing and sharing with everybody who comes to these events and who's a part of the sisterhood and the group and your audiences as well, and sharing what we all have to offer and give, and just make it really a community of women sharing what we do best. I'll let you, Wendy, introduce yourself and your business and what you do.
Awesome. Well, first of all, thank you for even having me here to do the interview, and then truly just being so open and awesome in yourself, and just being open to the idea of us collaborating together. I mean, you know, you truly are kind of embodying the work, which is just support and love for all, and I love that. So I'm excited to see more about what the Empowered Sisterhood, Intuitive Sisterhood is about, and all that it stands for is everything that we stand for. So I'm Wendy Fournier. I'm one half of the Indigo Doors. My sister and I, Brenda Tringale, we founded this about 6-7 years ago, and together we're healers. We've done many different, we're definitely different. We have many different types of healing modalities, from Reiki to shamanism to quantum healing. And so I, though, specifically focus in on the art aspect. I like channeling. I like kind of bringing in new energies into my art. I'm kind of bringing in new information to kind of steerhead us into kind of where we're going with our consciousness in the planet. So that's kind of who I am. Brenda's the more of the healer. She does energy work and helps people kind of embody more of who they are in their physical being, and so much more. I mean, words are so limiting, right? So they're all experiences, right? Yeah. So yeah, that's kind of what we do in a nutshell, right? We do events online all over the place. So we've done retreats. Yeah.
Awesome.
Should I tell you what we're about? I mean, I don't know. What do you want to know?
Yeah.
What do you want to know?
So I know this event we're hosting together coming up. You're going to get to share like your intuitive art and your gifts in that way. So tell us a little bit about your art and your work and how that operates.
Okay, cool. Yeah. So we started doing what we call like these psychic parties, and we use the word psychic hesitantly because it's kind of, it doesn't really embody what it is, because though we are kind of connecting to the field where we're bringing in information for individuals in front of us. The psychic parties are kind of like proof of the divinity, because my sister and I, we will actually just get people's like a list of names, and we'll channel in information. Brenda will write down information, and so will I, but then I'll create art, right? And I'm guided step by step what to do, symbols, imagery, you know, from a snake to whatever. And I fill the page with all sorts of symbolism, and it's kind of like a sacred piece of art, specifically for that person. And then we meet them, and then, you know, then they get to see how we're so like unity consciousness, right? We're all connected, and we share with them in the moment at a psychic party. We kind of sit in a circle, so we're definitely loving the idea of a circle where we're all equal, and we're kind of helping each other, holding space for each other. And we then randomly will pick a name out of the group, and we read for them. So kind of like what's coming through in the moment. Sometimes we hit on stuff that's on the back of it that we've written down, but I'll kind of explain how to read their art. And then they get to take it home. So it's kind of like a beautiful embodiment of the event and the experience. And, you know, everyone's always blown away at the accuracy, and, you know, it's just such a beautiful, beautiful, I just love what we do. So.
Yeah. Yeah. I've seen some of your artwork and I love it. I mean, when you reached out to me, that was one of the things that like really spoke to me, was just your art. And like you have the sacred geometry behind you, and that really connected with me, and seeing that in your art, because I love sacred geometry. I love just how it integrates with us and the planet and just everything, and the science and the math of it, and how it all kind of comes together. Is that something that comes through in a lot of your art that you really incorporate, or is it kind of just you let it flow through whatever it is?
Yes to all of that. So,
Yeah.
so sometimes, you know, I was a physics major in college, so I love mathematics, right? So, and I love science, and it's interesting. I, I have a set of guides that I work with specifically, and they're teaching me about sacred geometry and like the purpose behind it. And so when I'm bringing in new information and it needs to kind of be embodied, because it's kind of like I'm bringing in energy systems that don't necessarily have language to them yet. So it's kind of like it's really holding something that doesn't have form yet. So in that way, they will tell me exactly the angles of the triangles, the length of them, because they hold specific frequency, right? So depending on what they're trying to bring through, yeah, if it's an energy system that hasn't really formed yet, if you understand what I'm saying,
Mm-hmm.
then sacred geometry is usually always in my art. If it's something that is more emotional and meaning to, and it has a frequency that's something that has been on the planet already, like a bird, right? So a bird can embody the energy of what we're like, what they're trying to say in my art. Then I'll bring in a bird like energy, like a falcon versus like a blue jay or something. Like each thing has its own energy like signature, but all of that is divinely guided, and like there's a reason behind it. So the answer to it is yes. When I'm bringing in new information, typically yes, sacred geometry is always coming through, and they tell me exactly. And they even went so far as to tell me to use the metric system and not to use um, inches.
Mm.
And yeah, like it doesn't work. It doesn't work as well, not with the system that they're wanting me to use. So that's fascinating. So I
Yeah.
get to kind of explore this too. Like I'm just the channel, right? I'm just the kind of the messenger.
Yeah.
So it's neat.
That's really cool. And it's like, it almost, when you're talking about it, makes me think of the manifestation process, how like when we're manifesting something, it doesn't quite exist in the physical realm yet. And
Yeah.
it's more ethereal. And so it's really cool that you get to bring in these different aspects that like they will exist on this planet, but it's still in this ethereal realm, but you're bringing it in this really physical way in this art form, which I think is really cool way to integrate that.
Thank you. I love it too. I feel like you're talking about something that's so cool. Like that's exactly how we manifest. It's like, how do we bring in something? How do we even create something into our lives that we've never experienced yet? Let's say you've always been single and you don't necessarily know what it would be like to be married or whatever, something, just something human like that, right? It's like, what would that really feel like? It's something you haven't experienced yet. So how do you know how to manifest that? So it's like really having to detach from something and allow something brand new to come in. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Never
Yeah.
experienced before. So
yeah, that's really neat. Do you find that when you're doing these connections and these readings with people, do you find that it helps them to connect with source and spirit in a way themselves as well?
yes, I mean that's my intention, right? Is to for the art itself to kind of shift them, and just through feedback that does happen, especially those that are more energetically sensitive. Um, you know, they're meant to kind of be used, meaning, you know, you're meant, it's, they're divinely guided. Sometimes I'll put things in the imagery that doesn't make sense to my mind at all. Like, why would I put like a hippopotamus, right? Like, like why, like my mind will get involved and I'll like be like, why am I putting whatever in there? And then it'll be like their favorite animal that their grandmother gave them. So, this kind of answering your question, just saying that yes, they do. Was that your question?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Because it brings us together in a way that is like, especially when like you said, like you don't know anything about these people except for their name, and it just brings this togetherness when like you're able to connect in like that with someone's energy, and then your energies connect, kind of like our energies connected when we connected, and it's like just creates this
Right.
magic that you have.
Right, because it's meant to interact with the viewer. So like I always tell everybody that gets one of these things to like sit with it. It's supposed to interact with you. And so it's kind of like whatever parts of it, there might be parts of it that I might not even bring up when I'm talking to you, but that might really be speaking to them visually, right? So it's kind of like let the painting speak to them in their own personal way, because it is a personal experience. You know whether what parts of them are responding to the yellow or what parts of them are responding to the purples or whatever, right? It really is meant to be an experience and an interactive one at that.
Right.
So
Yeah. And do you find when you have the groups together that even if you're giving like a message for one person, that it kind of blends together the energy of the group, and one person
totally.
is like, oh my God, I needed that message too, and things like that.
Yes, I mean honestly, that's why we chose to do these in a group setting. And I know for most people, some, not all, but some people like get nervous, you know, they're like, oh, somebody's going to see my, you know, see my darkness or see my wounds, or I'm in a group setting. So it's a very vulnerable space. And believe me, we don't ever go into a place where it's uncomfortable for people. But because of the group setting, it allows for this exponential experience. You know, they say, you know, you pray with one, you pray by yourself, it's, you know, whatever, but then you pray with another person, it's exponential in our connection with divinity. So, you know, in a group setting like this, the capacity to heal is completely increased. And yes, always, 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 who's ever called to be in a group for that day or whatever, for that event, is meant to and is divinely guided. And yes, always the messages are overlapped. There's always typically like a universal kind of theme throughout the circle per night. And it's just, it's amazing. It's amazing. Everyone leaves differently than they came, and they feel such a connection with each other. And yeah, it's pretty cool that we get to do this, right?
Yeah.
For a living.
Yeah. Even just, I know from holding circle, even just the gift of being able to hold space and to hold space for a group or collective of people to process through what
Yeah.
energies and things are moving through, or
Witnessing.
it's so powerful. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just on the facilitator side to watch. And I love watching the world. It's like, I love observing. So in Circle, it's so much fun. And I'm excited to do that on Saturday when we gather together too, and just see how it all plays
Yeah.
out and everything. Um, Now I know we kind of scheduled this around the new moon, which I think is actually tonight,
I think it's,
or
yeah, tonight or
tomorrow.
tomorrow. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, is there anything that you've noticed in your work coming through with the new moon that might be important to be mindful of for people that might show up on Saturday?
Well, I definitely, the new moon's in Capricorn, right? So,
Mm-hmm.
which is an earth sign. So it's really about like, helping manifest your dreams, which new moons are typically that. But, Capricorns are the workhorses that are going to get there, right? They're climbing the mountains. So I feel like this whole year is about establishing, because of all the alignments of the planets. I'm not an astrologist by any means, so but just from what I know, is going to be about establishing kind of new habits um, in the new frequency. And so this new moon is the first one of 2021. I think partaking in a higher frequency, like energy circle, like we're about to do, will just kind of help manifest anything amazing that they want for themselves this year. So
Yeah.
I'm going. Um, well, I'm going to be great. But are you asking like what am I seeing for the new moon, or
Yeah. And
um,
kind of this hanging period that we have between this new moon and our circle gathering.
yeah, I really feel like honestly, what's coming to me right now in this moment is that there's so much healing taking place with everybody individually and on the planet. And a lot of my messages lately from my guides to others have been just really watching our thoughts and watching how we're talking to ourselves and watching where we're putting our energy, like worrying that what's happening out in the world right now, worrying and like adding to that fear isn't helping. And so just kind of focusing, recentering on ourselves, right, and loving ourselves, and seeing everybody with peace and balance. I feel like right now we just can't ignore what's happening in our country, right? So with this new moon, it's just essential that we utilize this energy in creating this new earth, which is just one of compassion and heart-centeredness, which is about seeing things through the eyes of compassion. And worrying does not help. Worrying does not help. So if you're finding yourself worrying, and we all do, we all get caught up in that, which is just fear. And so just shifting that into like, no, I see everybody in alignment, and they're connected with their higher selves. And so the new moon moving into our event is just kind of holding that space and that energy, and we're just going to keep cultivating
Yeah.
that. Does that make sense?
Yes, that makes a lot of sense to me. And like what I think about too is like you said, like we're moving to this new world, and I really feel that too as a collective right now. And just the power that we can find through gathering with other people who are also working on lifting the vibration of this planet together. And the these new world realities we're creating, like we are creating something together when we gather together on a Saturday.
Yeah,
And
great. That's great. I love that. Yes.
yeah,
So right,
and we can create this.
so
Yeah.
join us, please. We need
Yeah.
we need as much help as we can, right?
Right.
We got this.
Yeah, and just to create this new vibration that is different and has so much power as compared to like what we're seeing outside of ourselves. It's like this, we have this opportunity to create within this circle of, and just start to weave this new story for ourselves and for each other and for the collective, and to support each other in doing that too.
Yes, I love that. Yeah. So that's what it's about. I love it.
Awesome. Awesome. Is there anything else that you want to share before we kind of close out our conversation?
Just kind of the last thing I guess I would just want to say is like all of these things, just like you were talking about, is about like we're in this together, and that's one of our intentions in our in the events that we do, is just to help each other, help each other realize our potential, help each other realize our capacity to love ourselves and each other, you know. And I just love the work that we do, and I can tell you love the work that you do, and so our passions together, I think I'm really looking forward to just collaborating with you, and you know, this is hopefully is the first of many, right?
Yes,
So
I agree. I've loved your energy since I got your first email. I was like, I know this is somebody that I need to get to know. So
I know,
I'm
it's like,
really
hey, it's a
excited.
across the country, but it was cool.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm really excited for what we have coming up Saturday. And we're gathering at 10 a.m. Pacific time, which is 1 p.m. Eastern time, which is your time, right?
Yeah.
And it's about 3 hours that we'll be gathered together, and we'll flow with each other and grow with each other. And
Yeah, totally. Think about this though, energetically. It just came to me when you said that. It's like you're on the West Coast, we're on the East Coast, and it's like we can energetically like create it. We'll create a bridge energetically to where we're covering the entire United States with just some awesome energy. So that's
yes,
exciting.
blanket it across.
Exactly. Like,
I love that. I love that. I think it'll be so amazing. And then the event is up on both our Facebook pages, so everybody can find that there. And I'll make sure to share the link in this as well when it goes up and gets uploaded. So
well, thank you so much for just best.
yeah, I really enjoyed it.
Yeah,
Thank you.
it was fun to talk.
Yes. All right. Let me get this ended. Okay, there we go.